Hello everyone, welcome to 2021. It is right now 1:38 a.m. January 1st, 2021. So I guess this is going to be my first video in my channel for 2021. So what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about CSS frameworks, particularly as you can see on the screen. We are going to be looking at Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is the world's most popular front-end open source toolkit featuring Sass variables and mixins, responsive grid systems, extensive pre-built components, and powerful JavaScript plugins. Bootstrap is a very popular CSS frameworks out there. So we have other frameworks also available, like Materialize that follows Google style philosophy. We also have Bulma, and we also have something called Tailwind, which acts a little differently than Bootstrap and Materialize. So, but we're going to talk about the basic so that you can grasp how this CSS frameworks works. So you can practice with any other. It's going to be easier for you to adopt any other frameworks if you like. So let's go ahead and click on the Get Start. And here, what I'm going to do, you can do it if you have Node.js installed in your computer. You can install, like you can use Webpack or npm install Bootstrap in your project. I'm going to do the simple way is just adding the link. And let me go to my editor here. So I have this editor, don't have anything, basically a title. I'm just going to change this title to Bootstrap. In fact, let's change this to CSS framework. And here in the body, I'll just have an H1 saying headline. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add this link. So what this link basically is, it is a CSS. So Bootstrap already written CSS styles. And by adding the link to our index file, I have access to those styles. So if I save this, you can see the headline immediately changed the typography. So that's kind of giving you a cue that, okay, it's working. Your Bootstrap is linked with your project. So that's good. So let's get to know the documentation a little bit. So Bootstrap documentation is really robust, really simple to understand. I highly recommend you to go and check that out. You can see how you can you can start your project. I believe you have a starter template as well. You can just copy it and put it in your project. And then here, download. You can also download all of their CSS styles and their JavaScript file into your local machine if you want to. There's their source file download. And here you got your JavaScript file. So with version 5, Bootstrap version 5, they don't support jQuery anymore. Version 4 is the most stable, latest version. Bootstrap version 5, even though it's latest, but it's in beta. So they don't need jQuery library anymore. If you haven't heard about jQuery, don't worry. It is, back in the day, was really very powerful and very popular JavaScript library, but it's kind of in 2021, it's kind of a dying technology. I guess that's why Bootstrap is just getting rid of jQuery altogether. So you can go to content and then see that how their files are structured. You can also use Sass. Now, if you don't know what Sass is, I'm planning to make a full feature video on Sass, and it's coming. Sass is it's a preprocessor for your CSS file. So in short, you can think of Sass as CSS in steroids. You can do a lot of things like variables, you can create functions, mixins, all sort of things you can do with Sass that a regular CSS don't allow. So here is getting started, and then you can just go to customize and you can see that there is Sass. If you like to use Sass in your project, you're comfortable with Sass, you can actually read on here and know how to include this in your project. Colors, What are the colors? You see that primary means this blue color right here. Secondary has this gray color. Success is this green color. And these are default Bootstrap colors. And you can change them. You can make your own primary colors if you have your own Sass file. And here you have your layouts. So containers is one of the classes that we'll be using a lot. So let's go ahead and try to build something. And let me just show you what Bootstrap can do for your project. So I have already linked my CSS file here. I have an H1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this H1 into a div. So here, this headline right now wrapped in a container. And also, I'm going to add another link. Before that, let me go ahead and create a file. And that is, actually, I do have a file. I'm going to delete all this. Now, this is my local, my personal style CSS. And I'm going to add that as well. So I'm going to say link. Style. So you have your Bootstrap link. You can also have your own style CSS where you can customize those Bootstrap styles yourself. So here I'm going to give this div a class of container, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. You see that it just created a little bit of margin. Now, to see what actually happened, let's go ahead and grab that container here in my CSS file and give this a border so we can visualize what is the change. And you can see that it is responsive, and there is some space on the left-hand side and some space on the right-hand side. And without this container, let's say if I just comment this link out, you see right now it just takes the full width because the div is a display block element, so is H1, so it just takes the full width of available space. To get that container, we had to write CSS style. So all this, I don't have to do anything with just linking the Bootstrap link, and then just adding the class container is doing that for me automatically. So that's how, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. I don't need this. Now that's how Bootstrap actually works. So you link the Bootstrap resource in your project, and then you add the class that has the specific styles already written for you. So container is one of those class. I also want this headline, I think I misspelled headline. I also want this headline to be in the center. So in that container, I can also add another class that is going to be text dash, I will say center. And you see it's now center. Okay, let's go back to our document. And I want to grab your attention towards this components. Now here you can see that there are so many components already written for you. So there is an accordion right here. So this accordion, if you want something, you can just grab this, copy this, and incorporate into your project. So let's say after this div, I'm gonna just have this. It's not going to work because we haven't attached the JavaScript. Now remember, if you want your elements to be interactive, you need that JavaScript tag added to your project. So here is my JavaScript. I'm gonna go back and add it just before the last ending body tag. And here right now you can see that it is a full-featured accordion style. What I'm going to do also, I'm going to go ahead and put this all in a container as well. Go back, and here let's put the class container as well, and you can see now it is right in the middle, and it looks quite good. And that's how easy it is to put in some component and just work with it. Just change it in your HTML. Now let's go back to our Bootstrap document and see. Let's have a card. Let's go to card and then go here. I can copy this, go back to my editor, and I'm going to go ahead and delete all this just to make everything just too much going on right now. Let me close the body tag here, and in this body here I am going to again put a card in there. Or I'm going to go ahead and wrap this div as well to a container, and save it. There you go. Let's grab a picture. Let's grab a picture from Pexels right here. Go back to my editor, and then here where you see 3 dots, I can simply put that picture, and you see there is a card. And underneath this card, I have a card. So this is called card body. So look at that. That is the class. The card title is right now here. And there is, let's do something with this button right here. So you can see we have button, and there is the class. Okay. Even though it's not a button element, you can always use button classes with an A tag or just a button. So let me go ahead and let's get rid of this div and just add a button. Call it a button. There we go. That's the button, and I'll go ahead and add that also into a div. And you guessed it, whole class is going to be container. So it's right there. And I want this button to just have some margin on top. So this is how you write margin. So you space, you do margin. I want margin top. So I'm just going to say empty dash 3. That seems good. That's how you add some margin. And here in button, what I can do is I can just use class. And the first class for button to do like general style is just adding a class called btn. If I save this, you can see there's no border or nothing. And after that, there are button dash primary, and that will make it just blue like this top here. You can also do danger. So let's say you trying to add like a delete, maybe delete button, you can do danger. So it's a red one. You can also do what's called a success, and that's going to be green. That's going to be green. Now you can change this button if you like. You can customize this. So this btn class, if you go to style in your own style sheet, and then just grab that btn, and let's say you do not want, let me change the OK here, let me change this to a button. So let's say you don't want the border radius, so you can do border radius, and you want 0. Save. Look at that. It is now the border radius, there's nothing. So you can customize. A lot of cases you might have to use important, and that's important is basically you're saying that, hey, overwrite whatever the style is in Bootstrap, I want that to overwrite. Okay, but in this case I don't need the important. I can just say border radius 0, and it went back to 0. There's another one, btn. If you do btn dash outline dash success, you can see it's now is going to be just a border, but if you hover over it, it's going to be green. So there are options for you, and you still can make changes, customize them. So that's pretty much it. It's very easy to understand. You have your carousel where you can get just copy this, and then you just add some images. You can do a lot of things with this. So let me do kind of an example. Let me get rid of all this div here. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a header, and in that header I want to add navbar. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a navbar. Let's just grab the first one, copy this, and I can just click it here, and there's my navbar right there without doing anything with my CSS. Now if you click on here, you can see it also works, and you have list under list, so drop down right there. If you don't want this disable, you can go ahead and then just, I have to search for the disabled class. Is right here, so I will just delete this list, save it, click on here. You don't see disabled button no more, and see how responsive this is. You have your search button, and you got yourself a navbar. You can do one more thing here. Go up here, navbar collapse. Here you see the navbar light. Navbar light basically means it's white, so I like something dark. So I'm gonna do navbar dark, and also the background also I'm gonna do dark. And if I do save, look at that, it is now a dark navbar. Now after this, after the header, let me go ahead and just close this header, and after this header let me create another one that's called a main, and in this main I am going to create a carousel. Let's just create a carousel, and here I want this particular carousel. I will copy this, go here, save. The carousel will be blank at first because I don't have any pictures, so let's get some pictures. I just want horizontal pictures. Let's get this one, copy image link. I'll just have 3 images right now. If I save this, look at that, you have yourself a slider, and the controls and everything works perfect. Now there is a slight little problem with this. If you make it bigger, you can see that your slider takes full width of your website. So how can you fix that? You can go back to the wrapper, which is main here, and add that class and just say container, save it, and it is going to be contained, but still it's bigger. I can also choose something called space column and do 6, like take half of the, because if you have to remember that Bootstrap is designed on a 12 column grid layout. So by specifying I just want it to have 6 columns, it is automatically going to resize, and you can see now it is responsive. And again, I can also have some of the margin top here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do empty -3, so there's some margin here. So now I'm going to close the main, so I have an image. Let's go back to the Bootstrap and get some more components. Let's go ahead, do I do a form? Do I do, we already talked about card. Let's do card again. And this time I'll just have this one. So let's copy, go back to my, so under main, I'm also going to have a section. And here I'm going to have 3 cards actually. And let's go back to the pictures. 3 cards with 3 pictures. And I have some card right here. Now let's resize them. Now I definitely have a section wrapper on these 3 cards. So let's first go ahead and do container. Perfect. Okay, so after container, what I want is that this card to be side by side. So I can actually use Flexbox. Now they do have a class for Flexbox as well. So all I have to do is d flex. So if I save it here, you can now see it is side by side and it is fully responsive. Now I definitely want this one to be in the center, so I can use justify content. content. I want this one to be center, and hopefully it is now center. All right, so and after this I am going to also minimize this one, and after this section I'm going to create another, and here it's just going to be a form control. Let's just get this particular form here, and it couldn't be much easier. As you can see, it is really very easy to work with Bootstrap. They have predefined components. You can customize those components, just grab each element by the class, and then you can literally set border radius. You can change the color. If you don't want the primary color, you can change the color. If it's not working, then just add, that is called important, which will override the Bootstrap styles for you. Same way works Materialize as well. So Materialize has some components. It has badges, buttons. So if you don't like Bootstrap buttons, you can always look in the Materialize section. If you like, there is something called Bootswatch. Now Bootswatch actually works with, I believe, Bootstrap 4. They haven't updated it to the Bootstrap 5 yet. But Bootstrap 4 and Bootstrap 5 isn't that not very different. What Bootswatch is they already created a theme, and you can just grab those themes. Like you can click here and then just copy this link and then add it to your project. And Bootstrap classes are also going to work with Bootswatch as well. So they have different styles, different tables and forms. Yeah, so they have some customization there as well. Bulma actually works pretty much the same way. You can check out Bulma as well. Tailwind, you can see there's actually it completely work with the classes. You just add the classes. Let me go ahead and refresh this page so you can see how it's working. They have a beautiful website, and then you can see that by just saying class adding text large, font semi-bold, font medium. Like it reads like English, so you can just say text gray, color, all this as class. So if you're into it, if you have no problem writing all this in your index file, go with Tailwind. Just go experiment with Bulma, Tailwind if you like, Materialize, Bootstrap. I tend to not use frameworks that much. That's because I only use frameworks when I have to like quickly put on a website, and maybe I'm working on a full stack application and I just need to have a front end pretty quickly. I would use something like this because it is easier to work with. I don't have to spend too much time writing CSS. But usually I like to have control over my designs, and that's why I do use Sass a lot and also write my own CSS. But that's our short crash course. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one with the Sass video and talk about what preprocessor Sass can do for us. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.